Hello everyone, I'm AT Storm Track meteorologist Austin Haskins. Overall, it was a pretty nice weekend across the area, despite the fact that we still dealt with those gustier winds. And of course, yesterday we had less wind overall, but it was also colder as well, as those temperatures were back a little bit more closer to average for mid-November. Now, we are looking at pretty quiet conditions for our day today, but tonight into tomorrow morning, a system could bring some rain and snow for parts of the area, not for everyone, which we'll talk about here coming up. Also, the next couple of days, the winds are going to remain very light, and temperatures going forward near average, maybe in some cases slightly above average, but nothing like we had on Friday and even Saturday when temperatures were 15 to 20 degrees plus above average for this time of the year. High pressure keeping things pretty quiet this morning, but we're watching this area low pressure near Denver this morning that'll be tracking towards the east today. But this high could also impact things with that forecast for tonight here as well, which I'll explain coming up. As I mentioned, the winds the next several days are going to be on the very light side of things. Overall, staying generally less than about 7 to 8 miles per hour, and even today, less than 5 miles per hour in some cases. Now, Thursday picks up slightly, but you're noticing we're not seeing those winds 15 to 20 plus miles per hour. So we get a break from that because we've been dealing with that pretty much every day here since about Halloween or so. Now, as we get into tonight and tomorrow, there are still a few question marks on exactly how things will play out, which we'll go through here coming up over the next few minutes. But looking at the winter impacts outlook, there's an area highlighted here kind of in this gray, which means that there's the possibility that there could be slick spots within this area. Not for everyone, but for some. And this is, again, overnight into Tuesday morning for rain, snow, and a wintry mix, all possible. But the confidence is low in the sense of the northern extent of this. If you are south, so places like Red Wing, Alma, Arcadia, down to Black River Falls, you will at least see some rain and snow out of this. But how far north this gets does remain to be seen. Now, if you're in Rice Lake, Ladysmith, Medford, those areas, you likely won't see much, if anything, at all out of this. I think this is going to stay far enough to your south. But when you look at the overall snowfall forecast with this, not expecting this to be a real big event by any means. Most likely we see anywhere from about a trace to a half inch. High end totals about 1 to 1.5 inches of snow. When you look at the probabilities, the probability of at least 2 inches of snow is 0 in our area. So generally speaking, if we see any accumulation, it's going to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches on the very high end of things. And that, again, could certainly cause for some slick travel. My map has about 0 to a half inch for the areas here in light blue with isolated higher amounts. So from about Marshfield to Eau Claire, Menominee to near New Richmond and areas down to the south. So the other thing too is the dry air that's in place. So we are going to see those highs stay in the mid 40s, but look at the bottom numbers here. Those are the dew points. Teens and low 20s. When you have A, that dry of air, and B, the big spread between the temperature and the dew points, that is going to eat away at any precipitation chances from either reaching the ground or it's going to push it back by several hours. Now, you look at tomorrow, and even in the morning, 33 over 26 at about 8 a.m. Again, it's not ideal. It's a little bit better, but still, that dry air could either A, limit our precip chances completely, or B, I should say, keep it further to the south. So with that being said, let's look at future track and we'll see what it shows here. So we're going to look at the graph of the HRRR model. The one thing that's in agreement, at least for today, is both do show those clouds increasing. That is almost a given at this point. But this evening, it has the precip coming in, the graph model here, as early as, say, 9 o'clock tonight. And it quickly changes it over to snow with this and even gets all the way up to about Highway 64 or so. Maybe up to about Cornell, Medford, and near Osceola, and then it starts to shrink and move away, and we may see at least some partial clearing into the afternoon on our Tuesday. The HRRR model is showing a bit of a different signal here. So again, you can see those clouds increasing. Ignore the green that shows up kind of during the daytime and into early this evening. A lot of that is not going to reach the ground. This one, though, is showing that drier air kind of winning a little bit, and it really keeps the bulk of the precip south of the area until about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And this one, it's still showing rain at this point. So this is showing kind of a warmer solution, but then it does change over to snow at some point. This is showing it mainly along and south of Highway 10, but the northern extent of it doesn't even get to Eau Claire and Menominee. It gets close, but that's about it. And then we clear things out into the afternoon. So again, there's a lot of questions on how exactly this is going to play out. Now again, how it does play out, it's not going to be a high impact event by any means. But with it being kind of the first event of the year, certainly we just have to be a little bit careful. So give yourself a little extra time on that morning commute. So again, the chance of rain and snow, the better chances south of Highway 12, I-94, Highway 29, in that general area. Some snow accumulation is possible, again, as I showed you, but minimal on the scale, if you will. And again, slick travel is possible, but again, questions remain. That dry air wins out, of course. Temperatures are also going to play a role as well. And then, of course, the shift in that precipitation location if it goes a little further to the north or to the south. So, again, stay with us for updates. We'll keep you updated. Of course, Matt will have updates coming up later tonight. And then I will have more updates coming up tomorrow morning on Wake Up Wisconsin and, of course, before the show as well, if it is warranted. But after that moves out, cloudy on Wednesday, cloudy Thursday, system passing to our north could bring a little bit of light rain north of Highway 64 on Thursday, but I think we're going to stay dry. And then we are going to see a little more sunshine as we head towards the weekend. Of course, the deer hunting opener is on Saturday. And right now, temperatures will be in the 20s to near 30 during the morning and in the 40s to near 50 in the afternoon.